You have probably seen this guy at the hair shows. You probably attended his classes. I'm very happy to have Ivan Zoot on the Beauty Pro podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for the invitation to join you. Absolutely.
I love threads, don't you?
You know what? It's at times in, educational, inspirational, fascinating, and infuriating.
Just to give everybody some context, I am on threads at the Beauty Pro Coach, and all of a sudden, Ivan was popping up, and you were responding to like other people. But every time I would see you, I would start cracking up because I'm like, oh my God, this guy just wants to kill these people.
You know what? I come from a point of honesty, but I
Yeah.
come, at my age, I come from a point of impatience. Stupid bothers me. I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. And sometimes, sometimes I can, as they say, just scroll on by, and other times I just can't help myself.
But you can't, like, some of the things that you comment on, I'm like, oh, thank God he said it because, man, that's all.
I will gladly assume that role on behalf of many of my friends in the industry. Absolutely.
That's your wisdom coming through. Okay, that's what that is. It's not age, it's all your wisdom, your sage
Maybe a little
advice.
frustration.
All right, so for anybody who doesn't know, who is Ivan Zoot? Who are you? How'd you get here? What's going on?
Oh, that's a lot of questions. You know, go to ivansuit.com. There's all the answers. Will save us a lot of time on the podcast. But I've been around for about 40 years. Barber and cosmetologist. I like to say I've held every job in the industry except one. I am not a licensed cosmetology or barber school instructor. I've obviously
Whoa.
been a guest at many schools, but I don't have that particular credential. But everything else, from shop owner to platform artist to shampoo girl, you name it, I've done it in the business, and that includes beauty and barber, dog grooming, horse, cattle, and sheep, because I come from
Stop.
the electric clipper end of the world, and
Yeah.
boy, it took me into some interesting places and done some things. But um, I've written 13
hmm
books about
hmm
success in the industry. I've got almost not quite a dozen patents for inventions and innovations in the industry. And along the way, I picked up the 3 Guinness World Records for professional haircutting. So it's been 40 years. I've had an incredible amount of fun. I figure at my stage of my career, I probably got 2 or 3 years left, because I really, really just want to go fishing.
I do not blame you. From hair show, if you've ever been to a hair show, which everybody watching, listening, you should, from hair shows, from doing all the things that you do to fishing, absolutely. I support you on this journey. Do
Well,
it.
I've always said, and I say this, and I love to say this,
Uh-huh.
there's going to come a time, there's going to come a day, there's going to come a hair show. And 2 stylists are going to be at the hair show. They're going to be standing in line for the ladies' room, because obviously there's not enough ladies' bathrooms. And
Yeah.
one of them's going to say to the other one, he goes, "Hey," they're going to say, "Do you remember that guy? That guy, what was his name? Ivan. Do you remember Ivan?" And the other one's going to go, "Oh, yeah, I remember Ivan. I wonder what happened to him." And the first one's going to go, "Well, maybe he died." And they're going to get their phone out, and they're going to Google me, and they're going to discover that I'm alive, I'm fishing, and I'm just not doing hair shows anymore.
They're gonna find you on Instagram and you're gonna have all these like fish like holding up
Yeah,
the bass, like, hey.
I have that Instagram. I have 2 Instagrams. I have one in the beauty industry, and I have one that is totally all about fish, because last year I patented and introduced an item in the fishing industry. So that's kind of like retirement career Ivan 2.0 down the road.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. All right, so
What do you want to talk about
what
first?
is, yeah, we're gonna circle around. All right, so books on success. All right, so obviously you know quite a bit about it. So what is the secret to success according to Ivan Zoot?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you a little story that I love to share. that will answer your question.
Okay.
And it also is the answer to the question of the origin story. What the hell are you doing in the beauty industry? Which is not a question I haven't been asked frequently, because I don't look or sound or behave. If you were to call the casting director and say, send me a cosmetologist, this ain't probably not what you're going to get. But I have the cos license. I went back to school later, got a barber license. But the answer to your question, what's the secret?
Uh-huh.
I think really lies in my origin story. And I think I got incredibly lucky in that I figured out what I believe to be the ultimate divine truth of the beauty industry before I got here. So while I have friends and peers and folks I know who have figured it out along the way, I had the luxury, or I had the gift of maybe knowing something before I started that
Hmm.
I think impacted my trajectory and my travels and my path through the business. So here you go.
Okay.
Finished high school, working, going to community college part-time because I really didn't want to go at all,
Hmm.
but had my arm twisted because my family and my community believes that you have to go to college. It's those kind of people. And living on my own in an apartment. I was dating what later became my wife. Now it's almost 40 years, and we just had our second grandbaby, which is super exciting. We'll talk about that later. But I was getting my hair cut by a young woman named Elaine at a salon around the corner from my apartment. And I would go in there and get a haircut. And I would probably get a haircut every 8 weeks or so, which is pretty frequent for that time frame. Remember, we're talking, this is very early 1980s. And she would cut my hair. And every time I got a haircut, I hated the haircut. I was upset. I was disappointed. I was pissed. Call it whatever you want. Every time she cut my hair. And I was unhappy. And one day she cut my hair. And I now know, because now I've got 40 years in the industry, I know what was wrong. I know why it was wrong. I know everything about why I hated it. But bottom line is, outside the industry, working in sales, getting a haircut regularly, and I hate the haircut. And I'm walking through the parking lot to my car, and I'm kicking the gravel, and I'm upset. And I ask myself, why do I keep going back? It was a good question. I don't like the haircut.
Totally. Totally.
So on the way between the door and the car, I discovered I liked Elaine. I had a personal relationship that I enjoyed with Elaine. I liked the location. It was convenient to my apartment. I liked the price. It was about what I thought at the time a haircut should cost.
Mm.
I liked the owner. He kind of seemed like a cool guy. I liked the music they played on the radio. It was an environment I enjoyed being a part of. I liked the magazines they had up front. I liked every single thing about the haircut except the haircut.
Except the haircut.
And so what I discovered was, this doesn't have anything to do with haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this now in my classes, at shows and at schools. If you got into the haircut business because you thought the haircut business was the business of cutting hair, you're in the wrong business. And now I understood that at that point, that day. That was my divine aha moment. Mm-hmm. The clouds parted, the beam of light shined down, the angels sang. And at the time, I had a customer. I was selling in a different industry, but I had one customer who owned 3 hair salons. And I used to sell him plastic garbage bags and cleaning products and a variety of miscellaneous things. And I was sitting talking to him about this revelation that I had, that I don't like the hair. Now, what I know about the haircut, just for backstory, was she was cutting on my head she was a good hair cutter, a perfectly executed 90-degree uniform layer. Mm. She pulled every piece of hair off my head. She cut it to the exact same length, sideburns, ears, and neckline, slap some gel on it, send it home. Now, we all know if the head underneath that haircut is round, that's going to be a round haircut. And I'm too round for round. So I didn't, I look like a fuzzy Q-tip. If I wore a white shirt, you'd stick me in an elephant's ear to clean it. What I wanted was the freaking corner. I mean, look at me. I
Yeah.
wanted the corner. I need square on top of round. Whether you think it looks good, it's how I want to look. But I had no idea how to verbalize that.
Right.
And quite frankly, I don't think Elaine understood that. She
Mm.
could execute a flawless 90. Not her fault. But it's her fault because at the end of the day, it's consultation skills,
Yep.
uh, not her technical skills. I don't know if I said to her, leave the corner in, that she'd have any idea what I was talking about. But I had a conversation with this guy about what I perceived to be the nature of the industry. And fortunately, this guy was not a Sassoon trained precision haircutting lunatic. Now, I had the benefit of some of those folks as mentors, employers, and influencers of me along the way. So I have an understanding and appreciation for that level of dedicated commitment to the art and craft of haircutting. However, personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe in it. It's not my jam. Now, the beautiful thing is the industry's so big, there's room for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I took this to heart, and I kid you not, the next day, went on a tour at a beauty school. And I
Love
said,
it.
let me learn a little more about this. I got a
Yeah.
tour at a beauty school. That's a separate story. We can talk about it if you want. But I had a tour at a beauty school, and on the spot, I signed up and I began beauty school the following Tuesday.
I love it.
I came home and I told my parents, who, wanted me to, I'd finished this 2-year degree at a community college. Hey, guess what? I signed up for beauty school. And my parents looked at me and said, you what? And, my mom said, what kind of job is that for a nice Jewish kid? And I said, well, Vidal Sassoon was Jewish, which didn't do me any
Yeah.
good.
She's like, I don't care.
It wasn't the sales pitch she was going to buy. And then after I had dinner with my parents, then I talked to my, at the time, fiance. I said, hey, guess what? I signed now. Meanwhile, I got finished school. I got a good job, 1986-ish. I'm making real good money, but I'm going to go to beauty school at night. And my wife's like, you what? And then we went to my in-laws' house. They weren't my in-laws yet, but of course they had 2 daughters. I was the son they never had. And I told my soon-to-be father-in-law and mother-in-law, hey, guess what? I signed up for beauty school. And my father-in-law, to his credit, without missing a beat, he looked at me and he goes, oh, that's cool. We'll open a shop. And I had no intent at that point. I wasn't looking to open a business. I just
Right.
thought this was going to be a racket where I was going to make money. And by the way, it's not about the haircuts. It's sales. I was already a very successful salesperson. It's about building. I say this all the time. It's about building, cultivating, and maintaining relationships with humans.
Mm-hmm.
And the really cool thing about when you build a relationship with a human, most humans have a credit card.
Yep.
So that's the answer to the secret. It's not about the haircut and the
There.
origin story that got me to beauty school.
Love that. I love that. Okay, so now, okay, this is like a side. This just okay because it is about relationships and it is about ultimately sales, right? What do you do with this? I guess, and I hate to say it this way, but like the newer generation of stylists, the younger, the stylists in their early 20s that they do a consultation and the girl's hair is fried and everything that the client wants, the stylist is saying, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. What do
Sometimes
you
knows
do?
the best answer. God bless them. Uh,
Okay.
I think there's that's not where I thought you were going to go with the question about younger people in that consultation.
No,
I
I know.
have said for many years, when that woman brings in her daughter's got hair past her shoulders, and she has 17 overlapped applications of level 3 box brown from Walmart. The bottom, inch is her natural level 6-7 brown. The next one is kind of orangey, and then all the rest of it is black. And she comes in and she wants to be blonde with highlights. The absolute best answer for this young lady is, no, take that to a salon down the road. It would be better for my reputation for you to tell people I turned you away.
Okay.
because there's no way that can go well. You know, the young lady that I was at a funeral yesterday for a
Mm.
friend of the family, gentleman who lived 99 years. So it was a celebration of life, a wonderful event. But I was sitting behind a woman at the funeral home and I'm looking at her hair. And she had, honest to God, she had hair past her shoulders, but she only had 3 inches of hair. Everything else looked like something that had been coughed up by an allergic cat. It was so bad. It was frizzled and it was dried and it was fried and it was so white it was practically transparent. And I'm picturing this woman. I'm literally at this funeral thinking about this, a World War II veteran, thinking about this wonderful man and all of his children and grandchildren and great grandchildren speaking about, his life and
Hmm.
dedication. And I'm looking at the back of this woman's head thinking, oh my God, the only thing she can have is half a pixie because the rest of this. And there's no way this woman is walking in and saying, I know what I needs to happen. I need half a pixie, please. You know,
Right. She's not going to say that. Right.
of course not. Of course not. And I know based on what's on her head, she's been to a licensed beauty industry professional sometime in the last 90 days. Okay.
Yeah.
This is like visiting your alcoholic aunt and bringing her a 6-pack. You're part of the problem.
I guess where I'm going with it is, all right, fine. We tell them no to maintain our reputation, but like they still came to us, right? So isn't it
Yeah.
kind of our responsibility to do something for the person, or do we just be like, okay, bye, go to that place down the
Yeah,
street?
absolutely. Sell them a really high quality bottle of reconstructing conditioner to do the
Yeah.
best job it can and offer them options that are realistic and appropriate. I
Hmm.
can cut some of this off. Offer what you can. I mean, we still have a whole menu. Just because
Right.
there's 17 items on the menu and she wants, 4 of the ones that are inappropriate for her, sell her something else.
Right.
There's always, the beauty thing about it. I said everybody has a credit card. There's always a way we can take her money with the best of intentions and in a positive way that is not, when I talk about grabbing people's credit cards,
Hmm.
don't ever sell anything to anybody that they don't need. Don't ever sell
Right.
anything to anybody that's not appropriate. But at the same time, I'm sorry, baby needs new shoes and I got a mortgage payment. We got to take some money.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where I'm going with it. That's where
Yeah,
I'm
there's
going with
always
it.
money to be had.
Yes.
I
Yes.
say this all the time. One of the greatest things about the beauty industry in the United States of America is if you look out your front window, the streets are paved in gold. There is so much money in this business, and our little license is a license to take money
I
expeditiously.
love that. Our license is a license to take money. Beautiful. So, with all of that, what has been your biggest failure? And what
Uh,
did you learn?
well,
What did you learn from
failure.
it,
I got a huge list of them. And when if you want me to list the failures, it is easier to list what I can do successfully. Because again, if the menu has 17 items on it, I am unbelievably good at one of them. Okay. Bridal hair and updos, yeah, no. Hair color, yeah, no. Pedicure, no. The list of things I don't do, I heard this as an expression in business. You are more defined by what you don't do than what you do. And an example is this: I specialize in short hair, I specialize in very short hair. I
mm-hmm.
specialize in military haircuts, tight faded haircuts, clippered haircuts, men or women, gender's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I specialize in the kind of haircuts people get every 2 weeks. So
Mm.
I always say, hey, Ivan, you have a cosmetology license? Yes, I do. Hey, Ivan, do you have a barber license? Yes, I do. Well, do you do prom stuff? Nope. Do you do highlights? No, no, I don't do highlights. Do you do pedicure? No, no, no pedicures. You can rattle off the list and finally it comes down to Ivan, what the hell do you do? And the answer is I do unbelievable short, tight, tapered, clippered haircuts. That
Mm-hmm.
is what I do. So half the answer to your question is my greatest failure is everything else. And for a variety of reasons, either because I couldn't muster the interest to try to be good at it, or because I tried it and I sucked at it, or who knows?
Mm-hmm.
There's a long list of those things, but I have tried and failed at everything in the business at one point
Mm-hmm.
in time. But I figured out what I can do. And fortunately, I enjoy it. I love it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I tell people I stopped cutting hair right as the pandemic broke, and I'm
Mm.
going back into a salon part time in about May. And there's
Okay.
reasons why for the timing on all that, but it's time for me to get back behind a chair a little bit because I
Yeah.
really freaking miss it. But
Yeah.
my last business card before the pandemic, it said Mike's Barbershop. That was where I was working. It
Uh-huh.
had my name, it had the address, the phone number, it had a picture of a police badge, and underneath the badge, it said cop cuts. Because
Okay.
what I wanted to cut was cops,
Yeah.
firefighters, municipal workers, military reserve guys, snowplow drivers, garbage men. These were my people. And one of the things I share frequently is the idea if you want to cut hair in the beauty industry, you need 380 people.
Mm.
That's a 380 haircut clients. Forget about other services, just haircuts. If you just cut hair, if 380 people on the planet will say, that guy cuts my hair, Ivan cuts my hair, she cuts my hair, you're busy for the rest of your life. And when
Mm.
you think about it, 380 people, if you go to your local Walmart right now, there's about 380 people at Walmart.
Hmm.
380 people is the home bleachers at a high school football game on Friday night anywhere in America. 380 people is a decent church on Sunday morning. 380, when you consider we have 348 million people in America, one of the most exciting things our business is you don't have to cut them all. And you don't want to cut them all. I don't want to cut your sister. I don't want to cut your mom. I don't want to cut your grandma. I don't want to cut your kids. I want to cut your dad's buddy who did 2 tours in Vietnam or 3 tours in Iraq. That's my guy. Send him and we'll
Right.
be good.
How did you come to this conclusion that those were the people that you wanted?
Well, it's the failure thing. I tried other stuff and I sucked. And those people didn't come back.
Okay, so now what has been your favorite insult that you've ever gotten
Oh
that
my
now
God.
is like your driver? Like what is
I don't know. I want to know. And before I answer that question, I want to know how did you know to ask that question? Because
because you're just so cool.
I had that's unbelievable. And the truth of the matter is, this is honest to God truth. My favorite insult, and it was one of those backhanded compliments,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was absolutely intended to be 100% what it was. It was my first employer. I was in beauty school. I was working part-time as a shampoo girl in a very fancy, expensive, high-end day spa salon in the suburbs of Chicago where I live. And of course, this salon, if you were in the shampoo crew and a beauty school student, you had Tuesday night model night where you would bring people in to cut them under the supervision of the owner and the staff. They had an assistant program, but you weren't an assistant yet because you didn't finish school. You were just a sweeper and a towel folder and a hair color rinser.
Mhm.
And my boss said, this is what he said to me on model night. We got into a huge fight because essentially he said to me, you're going to get in trouble. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, your mouth is better than your hands. And what he meant was
Okay.
consultation, interaction, discussion, the social aspect of the business. I was really, really good, but I couldn't cut hair worth a shit.
Mm.
And he, being a Sassoon trained, highly disciplined hair cutter, he believed you cannot be successful in the business unless you can deliver haircuts that are 9.75 out of 10 on every one of your customers. And of course, my response to that insult, your mouth is better than your hands. My response was, well, haircuts don't matter. And when you say that to somebody who spent, time in London training with people who trained with Vidal Sassoon himself, he had an aneurysm. His head exploded, and there was very little chance I was still going to be employed at the end of the week. And one of the greatest things that ever happened was when I broke the world records for haircutting. He and his partner, they own the salon together. they came. We had a reception. We had a big event when I got back after we broke the records, and he and I had a conversation about, well, you've got Guinness World Records for haircutting. Apparently you did figure out how to cut hair along the way.
I was gonna ask you, like, did you keep in contact with him? Did you have you
Oh yeah,
spoken to
yeah.
Elaine?
Ultimately,
Like,
he was very much a product of the Sassoon revolution in the industry, and
yeah.
he was an incredible hair cutter. I learned a great deal from him.
Yeah.
He was extremely artistic and creative. Later on, when I owned a salon, I don't think he could believe that I ended up owning a business in this business. Um, he ultimately retired, and the salon was taken over by who had been his partner.
Mm.
She has since relocated elsewhere on the North Shore of Chicago, and has owned a very successful salon since before I ever got in the business. And I
Yeah.
bump into them at shows, and I pop in every once in a while and stay in touch. But yeah, those were, I had the gift of some really, really incredible mentors, who at times, like Bob, were prepared to tell me, you're going to have a problem.
How's Elaine? Did you ever see Elaine again?
Yeah, I ran into her at a couple of hair shows. I think Elaine went on to have children and then morphed into a part-time career. And I lost touch with her after a few years, but I did know her because once you become high profile on the show end of things, people come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
I did know her long enough to tell her of my origin story in the industry and to give her the rightful credit she deserves for my being here.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
What an
I had
award.
a wonderful full circle moment with Elaine.
Love that. Okay, I love that. All right, so tell everybody about your patents. All right, so we already know about you are a world record holder.
Yep.
Now, what other records do you have?
Fastest haircut in the world.
Oh,
I've broken that record
shoot.
16 times. The
Wow.
most haircuts in an hour and the most haircuts in 24 hours nonstop straight through without a break.
Holy crapola. Okay, okay. I'm gonna look this up. You remember the books, the Guinness
Yeah.
books? I used to have those.
Yeah. Oh no.
Do
You
they
know
make
what?
them still? I don't even know.
Yeah, they still make them. I was actually published. They don't publish every record in the book. My name appeared in 2010, 2012, and 2014 because they cycle through which records go in the book. And I
Ah.
used to, back when I had the shop, and I used to tell, because that book is targeted at like boys between the ages of like 7 and 16 or something. That's the sweet spot for that book. And I used to tell these kids, go to the library at school and go check the book. I'd give them my business card so they knew what my name was. I go to the library, and then I would have kids, their mom would bring them in with the book for me to autograph the book, which if you're a 9-year-old and you know somebody in the book, your head explodes. Yeah. So it was super fun to be actually in the book. And I have, of course, when those books came out, we went to the store and bought a pile of them. And my
Absolutely.
kids each have copies of them. And I have one copy of each of them that I've kept for me to tell stories to my grandchildren.
Yes. Okay, and what about your patents? You have these patents. What's going on there?
Yeah, it started. A lot of people know that I spent quite a few years in a relationship with the Andis company. I was an educator for
Mm.
Andis. Then I was an employee for Andis. When I moved on to do some of my own things, I stayed as a contractor, as an educator with the company. And actually, for 2026, I'm sort of reinvigorating my relationship with the Andis company. For 2026, I will be introduced at the premiere show in uh, California as the new legacy ambassador for the Andis company, with 40 years of a relationship with the family. But in my role there originally, one of my jobs was new product testing and development, where I
Mhm.
would take samples out to barbers and barber shops. I also worked very closely with engineering on the development of new and upcoming tools. So my first 3 patents were things that were developed while I was a member of the team there. So the way that works is, I'm partnered with an engineer. We prototypes, we develop, we come up with these products, and then we go through the patent process. And then when the patent is granted, the patent is in my name. And there's a document that they bring to you in your office called the assignment of patent. What we really call that is you get to keep working here, in which you sign off the patent to the company because it was developed while you were under employment. So although my name appears on the patent, it belongs to the company, which, hey, great, no problem. One of those items was produced and sold for many, many years. It was discontinued. That's actually been reintroduced. Another one of those was sold for a period of time very successfully. And a third one, I have a patent for a idea that even as we sit here speaking today, while I've patented the idea, the technology to do it doesn't exist. So they
What?
haven't been able to utilize the patent because there's some technical speed bumps or roadblocks that just prevent utilization now. The hope is that at some point in the future, when technology continues to evolve, they might be able to implement this idea. It's a great idea. But yeah, maybe that one won't happen. But I've patented one of my big patents is this guy here. People have seen this. This is the Zoot comb cutting system.
Yes, we have that comb in our salon.
Yep.
Yes, sir. We love it.
And the patent is, interestingly, it's a clipper comb, it's a trimmer comb, it's a scissor comb, but the patent is the idea that the guards
Yeah. So cool.
snap onto the comb. So instead of putting the guard on the clipper, the guard is now, so the comb is a 1 and the system comes with 2, 3, and 4 like that. So that's a patent. Very proud of that. I actually share that patent with the folks at Denman. You know Denman brushes?
Yeah.
Denman and I designed this together. The comb was made in Belfast in Northern Ireland and sold all over the world.
Wow.
And again, those guys have I have the patent and it's assigned to them. I have it with their engineer, and then we sell the thing all over the world.
How do you feel about that? Like, how does that
How do
make
I
you all
feel about the
warm and,
patent?
yeah, like, does that make you feel all warm and fuzzy? Or like, do you
No,
feel
I'm just a
success?
little
Like,
disappointed. I'm just a little disappointed that my dad died before it happened.
damn
Um,
it.
yeah,
Ah,
and my younger son was born right after he died and is named after him. And
okay.
there's a lot of those kind of things. Yeah, if I could share that, I'd like to share that with my dad. I'd like to share that with my mom, who thought beauty school wasn't going to be a very good idea. Um, yeah, so
Oh man. Okay. And then your father-in-law is probably like, hell yeah.
oh yeah, my father-in-law's like, yeah, what else you got? Uh,
Keep going. Okay. So then
yeah,
what stuff?
this was one
Yeah.
of my. It's not my most recent. My most recent is my fishing invention, but this one was called One Comb. As you can see, there's a one on there.
Love it.
It's a specifically for the short hair people. It's a clipper comb, a scissor comb, a trimmer comb, and a blending scissor comb. The individual combs with unique tooth configurations are matched to the corresponding cutting tool. So you pick this up when a guy sits down, you put it down when he gives you money. And it's an efficiency tool, but it's specifically, on close inspection, you'll see each one of these combs have very uniquely designed teeth
Mm-hmm.
that correspond to what you're asking the comb to do. I'm a huge comb nerd. I sell about 200 combs on my website, because when we start talking combs, materials, flexibility, color, tooth configuration, tooth spacing, weight and balance, I
Mm.
can nerd out with you about combs all day. So that's kind of my jam.
I love that. Okay, what about your fishing patent? What's going on with that? What is it?
It is I'm a fan and a practitioner of a ancient Japanese style of mountain fishing. It's done in high mountain streams and rivers, and creeks, and it utilizes a specialized type of rod and type of line and type of fly. I tie my own little flies. I invented and part of this is in a very Japanese aesthetic, minimalism, that you're not schlepping 10 tons of crap to the water to
Right.
fish with. And I designed a compact, minimal fly box that is designed to take just what you will need for a fishing excursion, as opposed to schlepping a ton of crap. And there's one element of it that is a unique patentable element, because as an example, when I patented this, you can't patent a comb. You can't even patent multiple combs, but there are one or two things that were done within this comb that qualify for a patent. So you have to find the patent where you can. And I have a lawyer who handles contracts.
Hmm.
I have a lawyer who handles intellectual property. I have too many lawyers,
Yeah.
but a good intellectual property lawyer who manages my copyrights on my books and my trademarks and my patents. She's expensive, which pisses me off, but she's worth it. She's entitled, I guess.
I mean, she gets the job done, I guess. Okay, back to the hair world. So now, what do you feel is the most important trait or strength that anyone would need to be successful in this business?
Wow, most important trait to be successful in this business. When we come back to the people skills aspect of things,
Hmm.
haircuts don't matter.
Hmm.
When it comes to people, I think in this day and age, maybe I would use the word tolerance.
Oh,
Because man, you hang up a shingle and the door opens and Noah's Ark comes marching in. You get two of every wacko on this planet. And remember, they all have credit cards.
right.
And I'm not going to fit with everybody and I'm not going to
Yeah.
agree with everybody. And somebody's going to want to bridle up to, and I'm going to have to send them down the road. But you got to be able to go along and get along and make it work. Never before, I said this at the time. The 2016 election
Mhm.
was the first time in all of my years in the business that politics was no longer acceptable for conversation in a barbershop.
Oh,
Okay? It was because it was, we in the past, it always was, it was Reagan and Carter. You didn't like Reagan, you didn't like Carter, you voiced your opinion and you moved on.
right.
Then we could all argue about the Cubs and how bad that was. But 2016 brought a level of vitriol, a level
Yeah.
of nasty, that it was not okay that we didn't agree. It was downright wrong. And it got
Mm.
personal. And you could, back in the 2016 election, if someone came in the barbershop, sat down in a chair, and said something about either candidate, it was like a fart in church. I mean, it just knocked the air out of the room, and nobody
Yeah.
said a word for half an hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there were clients who were perceptive of this and figured out, oh, we better talk about the Cubs now. And there were other
Mm.
clients who would come in and sit down, and for the 15 minutes they got a haircut, would just go on a pro or anti rant about one or the other of the candidates. And everybody in the room just wanted to stab this guy in the ear with the scissors, not
Yeah.
because they agreed or disagreed, but because it was just not okay.
Yeah.
So I think tolerance in this day and age, inside and outside of the shop, is going to be an extraordinarily important characteristic for
Hmm.
all of us. We don't have to agree. We don't have to get along. I have to recognize your right to disagree with me, and I have to take your credit card.
Yeah. Always the credit card. Just give me the damn card. I don't care about anything else.
It always comes back to the card.
No, that's a
You know what?
really,
I should. I don't like to quote people without being able to attribute the quote to the right person. But there's a famous quote: "Keep the main thing the main thing."
yeah. Yep.
I
Yep.
don't remember if one of your listeners knows who said that. They can put it in the
Please.
comments.
Yeah, please put in the comments. Please message us because we need to know.
Yeah,
No, but
somebody needs credit for that. But keep the main thing the main thing.
that's what's so great about the Beauty Pro podcast. We keep it real, we keep it raw, right? We talk about all the things you're not supposed to, right? And it's we all have a good time.
Yep.
So do you feel like there are just some things you can't teach somebody? Like, you
Unfortunately, I what I used to say when I was hiring. Now I had 8 haircutting chairs.
know? Mhm.
I had 1,200 square feet. I had 24 chairs in the waiting room. And if you don't know me, one of the things you'll know is before I opened my own business, I ran 38 locations for supercuts. So
Wow.
I had a big stint in the low price, high volume, family oriented sector of the marketplace.
Hmm.
So we cranked some volume. We did
Hmm.
330 to 350 haircuts every single day as a
Mm.
team and as a shop. And I used to say all the time, you hire for people skills and you train for technical skills. I don't care if you know how to cut hair, and I don't care if you um, know the business side of the business. And I used to say, by the time someone would apply to me for a job, and I hired a lot of people coming out of school, a lot of my team members did not have significant experience before they got to my shop.
Mhm.
By the time I would hire somebody, if you were sitting in my office for an interview, you were 19 years old,
Mhm.
maybe you finished high school. We in my area had a very strong high school cosmetology program where you
Mhm.
did cos in junior and senior year of high school, and
Yeah.
you graduated with a high school diploma and a cosmetology license. You could go right into a shop and start working. So
Mhm.
the answer is, if you were sitting across from me, most of the time you were 18 or 19 years old.
Mhm.
And I really believe that 18 or 19 years old, if your mother and father didn't teach you how to be a decent human, it's too late and I can't help you. But if your
Mhm.
mother and father taught you how to be a decent human, I can teach you how to cut hair.
Mhm.
So yeah, by the time we get to folks, I tell this story all the time. My younger brother lives in Japan, and I have two boys about 6 years apart. And my youngest is about 6 or 7 years older than his oldest. So I
Okay.
had two. There was a gap there. He had two. His children were born in the United States, but almost immediately moved to Japan. They've lived in Japan 20 plus years. They got to speaking English a little bit later, but my brother was coming to town to visit.
Hey,
And
Ivan, put your camera on.
my camera go off?
It went off.
Hang on.
There we go. That was so
I don't know
weird.
where that
Okay.
went.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. So he lives in Japan.
Hey, look, it's a miracle any of this technology
I
works.
know.
Okay.
Hanging by a
Oh,
thread.
so my brother lives in Japan and he was coming into town for some reason. I went to pick him up at the airport and we live 20 minutes away from the airport. So we're in a car coming back from the airport, driving along down the highway, just two of us. And he says to me, he goes, "Let me ask you a question." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "As a father, as a parent, what are you doing to set your children's moral compass, to make sure that they are good people, to make sure that they are on the right path as people in the world?"
Mm-hmm.
I turn to my brother and I go, "How old are your kids?" And the answer was like, 9 and 7 or something. And he goes like 9 and 7. I go, it's too late for you. And he was horrified. What do you
Oh
mean it's too late? And my point with him was, these are the kind of things you got to start working on really early.
no. Yeah.
Um, in terms of behavior and interacting with people and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're 19 years old and you just don't know how to smile when you answer the phone, if you're 19 years old, you don't know how to hold a door for someone, if you're 19 years old and you eat something out of the refrigerator that doesn't belong to you, I probably can't help you. It's too late.
Okay. This whole episode is just gonna be giggles. Like it's just gonna be great. What being in the industry, what is the lesson that you have learned that you wish everybody and their mother would just get?
What is the lesson I've learned that I wish everybody and their mother would just get as it relates to the industry? Well, as it relates to the
It
industry,
could
I
be
think.
the industry, it could be life in general because it's so
Well, okay. I'm gonna
intertwined.
I'm gonna piggyback on some of what I just finished saying, and I think this is a real challenge for young people in our industry today. And that is, somebody needs to tap them on the shoulder and say, um, "It's not about you."
Mm,
It never was about us. Between social media and Instagram and posting pictures of haircuts online and follower counts and comments and likes and all this kind of stuff, especially barber culture at this point in time, not so much. Maybe cause is just, suffering from some of the same ills, but honey, come on. This was never about you. This was
yeah.
about the client, about the lady with the card. Uh,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I
What
think that's a lesson, and that's beyond just the beauty industry. The cashier at the grocery store. Everybody. It's not about you. It's bigger than you. You
yeah.
are a tiny, tiny little tooth on the gear in the machine, and if your tooth breaks, we're just going to get another gear. Uh,
Yeah. 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 Harsh realities, but it's true.
yeah,
What
And
is,
you know, obviously, having gone to that funeral yesterday, there's
yeah.
the top of mind idea that, you know, this man was 98 years old, and listening to his children and grandchildren speak, struck by the idea that 98 years, it's a lot of time relative to, you know,
Hmm.
my parents who died much younger, but
Hmm.
it ain't a lot of time and it's over quick.
Yeah.
And you're getting one shot at this. And let's, that idea that, you know, the object of the game is not to die with a beautiful corpse, but to slide in sideways, beaten and battered, and having embraced every single opportunity that came up. And when you're done, you're just utterly spent because you did it all.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah. 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 So, what's one idea, professional, personal, that nobody agrees with you about?
just rewind the podcast. That nobody agrees with me about. I'll tell you one right now that
Yeah.
sometimes I feel I'm kind of pushing a rock up a hill, and that is in the barber business, the $100 haircut is bullshit.
Oh.
Nobody wants a $100 haircut. They really don't. Nobody wants to pay that much. Nobody wants to sit in your chair for 45 minutes. Oh my God, put a bullet in my head. If it takes you more than 12 minutes to cut my hair, you don't know how to cut hair and you're wasting my time and you're abusing the situation.
Yeah.
This idea that the holy grail is this magnanimous number for haircuts. You see all these posts online now about, and like tipping. Here, you want one that people don't agree with me? Let's talk about gratuities. Let's talk about tipping. You see these posts. If you can't afford to tip 50%, you shouldn't go out to dinner. What? What? Tipping's another one. Yeah, tipping has gotten goofy, stupid. I think a lot of people agree with me on that one. So that doesn't really satisfy your question.
It's okay, but it is controversial.
Oh, it's controversial as hell. Yeah. Oh my God. I just got not this haircut because I did this one last night on myself. I needed to touch it up because I was going to be on a video.
Hey.
But the last haircut I got from a 65-year-old guy in a little barber shop in Cincinnati, Ohio for $20. It took a grand total of 10 minutes, and I would defy you to find anything wrong with the haircut or the experience. He was happy to have the $20, and I was happy to give it to him.
Oh.
And let's stop overcomplicating the business.
Okay. Okay. I like that. So now you got the website, you got the combs, you got the patents. How can people work with you, like get in contact with you? What do you have going on?
IvanZoot.com, my website, IvanZoot.com is the epicenter of the world. Now, the banner is hanging on the wall up here, and you'll notice the banner is upside down.
Okay, I thought so. I'm looking at him like maybe it's just backwards mirror imaging. No,
No,
it's
no,
upside
you
down.
can't mirror image upside down.
I'm
There's a little story here.
okay.
I shot a fishing video the other day, so I had to take the banner. This is a fabric banner just
Yeah.
hanging on the
Yeah.
wall. I
Yeah.
shot a fishing video the other day, so I took the banner down because that's not my website for that. And when I got done, I put the banner back up. And then my wife came down here to where I have my studio, and a couple days later, and she said, "You know the banner's upside down, right?" And I looked at the banner and I went, "No, I didn't know that the banner was upside down." And she said, "You're going to flip it?" And I said, "No." I said, "It's 2026. We're turning the business upside down this year.
Oh.
So, as a symbolic gesture for 2026, we're going to, everybody knows my name and they know my website. So, symbolically, we're going to leave the banner upside down for 2026.
I like it. Subconscious came out to play. That's what that was.
Well, no,
Oh,
it's too lazy to take it down.
all right. So now, final question. What is one question that you wish I would have asked you that I did not, and how would you have answered?
Oh, I wish you would have asked me, what is my new grandson's name? And why is he the most adorable kid on the planet?
Oh, okay. What's the answer?
His name is Levi, and he's my younger son's first child. My older one's got Sophie is 2.5, and Levi is 2.5, maybe 3 weeks old now.
Oh,
And he's tiny and perfect and freaking adorable. And I sent a text yesterday. It's kind of funny. I'm gonna pull it up here because I'm gonna read it word for word.
Yes.
We have a family text group like everybody does, where everybody
Yeah, we
chats
do.
back and forth and everything. So I sent this text yesterday to it's my wife, my son and his wife, my other son and his wife, the six of us. I said three questions. I said, did either of my grandchildren accomplish anything yesterday? Number one. Number two, is there photographic evidence? And number three, why do I have to ask to see the pictures? And so
That's
they
great.
immediately responded with pictures. So
Perfect. I love that name though. Levi is one of my favorite names. I love it. And
yep,
so, welcome to the world, little Levi. Aw. Congrats, Grandpa.
thank you very much. Thank you. We're
You're
super
welcome.
excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's no secret. I'll mention it here. We live in the Chicago suburbs. I was born here,
Yeah.
Cubs fan.
Yep.
My older son lives in Cincinnati, and my younger son lives just on the other side of the river on the Kentucky side over there. And we have a house down there because we go down there all the time to visit. And remember, I mentioned at some point in about May, I was going to go back to working in a shop.
Yes. Yes.
To go back to working in a shop in Cincinnati because we're going to make the move. So not a
Oh,
secret. It's somewhat public knowledge, but I'm going to be leaving Chicago and moving down there, and I'm going to find a great shop to be a part-time part of a team,
I love it.
and put some hair on the floor and get back into bullshitting with customers and the good parts of the business.
I
And I
love that.
promise you, the shop that I am in will not be cash only. We will take credit cards.
That's a perfect. I love that. That is so great. Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank you if you're watching, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed our chat today with Ivan. I mean, I was cracking up the whole time. So, Ivan, we're gonna have your links in the show notes so you guys can reach out to him. Go check him out when he moves to Cincinnati. And until next time, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
Ivan,
you
for
so
coming
much.
on.
Thank you for inviting me. Had a blast.